this in there. Now I'm gonna get it set up on the computer here while I'm waiting for some people. Everybody's probably out having fun doing things. Nobody. Maybe nobody wants to watch. Well, we have two now. Let's see here. We gotta get some people before we do anything here. Something different about the chat now. I can pin chats. All right, so if you guys are on here, shoot a little comment in the thing. Let us know where you're from. I should have got another bottle of water. Crap. Howdy Horse, what's up, buddy? Jay Bell from Indiana. Jason. Perry Roberts. Slow night in live land. We'll get some people and then we'll get on the topic of the live. 22, hopefully we get up around 40 or 50 today. Jails from Minnesota, Drew Gordon. North Central Parade, Drew, welcome. Glad you joined, buddy. Nate from Tennessee. Skitter Kev's here. What's up, Kev? I got your picture of the rink melting. It looked like you had a glacier in your backyard. That was pretty cool.
Someone said it looked majestic.
Lauren said it looked...
When he was going through the ice, when he showed what it looked like when it was melting, it looked majestic.
Lauren said when you were doing the pictures or whatever, going through the ice, what it looked like when it melted, she said it looked majestic. No sound? Is there sound? Do you guys not hear me? Can you guys hear me? You should be able to hear me.
I can hear you.
Okay. Perry said there was no sound for some reason. I don't know. Andy Cobb, what's up? Kev says it might be wild. Yeah, it's snowing here again today, which is not cool. I'm tired of the snow, but that it matters, so it could snow and rain all at once. I don't have anything going right now other than fishing when I feel like going. Okay, we got sound. Sound is fine. All right. Good. What do we got on here? 26. So, what was I talking about when I said slippery slope? Slippery slope is the slope I'm sliding down. I'm rhyming. I'm getting funny looks from over there in the peanut gallery.
What'd you say?
I said a slippery slope, and I said, well, what's a slippery slope? I said, it's the slope I'm sliding down.
You friggin' poet.
Yeah, so nothing has really changed since the last video. I looked at one more property. We picked one up earlier this week, which is one I looked at a while ago. I believe we had it when I had that other video I made. And they're small, they're little 30,000 feet patches, and the problem is they're in a township that's going to tie us up in the permitting process for probably 6 to 8 months. This is from what it's sounding like. And that's ridiculous. I wish I had the resources, i.e. a lawyer, that, and the time and the money to afford it all, to write these things to make it easier for people, because I don't believe that it's right what some of these local boroughs and stuff do. I don't see anything wrong with asking for a permit, when, timber harvesting, but, a reasonable fee to accept and do a permit is $100 or less, in my opinion. These people want anywhere from 5 to 1,500, and you gotta have approval from these people and approval from those people. And we have the ACRE Act in Pennsylvania, which is our Attorney General. Basically, you can fight some of these things because they're, timber's considered agricultural goods. And, we don't fall under a lot of this other stuff. And it's just ridiculous. So a lot of people, a lot of boroughs and townships are trying to stop it because either one, you had an unsavory group go through and just either bomb a bunch of stuff and make it look very, very terrible, or you people don't like what it's kind of split down the middle anymore. People think that a timber job, when they see it, it's, they see the tops, or maybe something got clear cut and they just think it's terrible. Oh, that just looks so bad. So they set these regulations up so we can't work. Make it so expensive or hard that you can't. I read one the other day I read one, it was very close to me, and you weren't allowed to cut trees under 12 inches in diameter DBH or over 30 inches DBH. You had to be in between that, which they're not allowed to do that. But once again, you have to fight them. You're not allowed to cut timber on slopes over 25%. Not allowed to do that. There's a bunch of them. So, Fire Captain Tom's in here, our high logger. That's Nate. What's up, buddy? And it's frustrating. It gets hard. So those are the jobs we have. I have two in a high permit area. Then we have two more in another one that's not as bad, but it's still a big permit area. And it's funny because you can go from township to township and they're all different. Some of them don't have anything. Others of them just say, hey, show us an E&S plan, or just have an E&S plan, which we have on all our jobs, and give us $20 to just so we know who it is for the road bonding situation when they road bond it, and move on with life. Go. It's very, very quick. And then like the one where I have the two jobs, I don't want to use names because I don't know if that can get me in trouble or not, but the one that's close to us here that I have the two jobs in is you submit the permit and you don't even know if you got it for 45 days. And of course they're going to come back with something they don't like about it, and you have to go back and you change it, probably wait another 45 days. So
I think it's their way of trying to monopolize stuff.
no, that too. There's some.
Like the little man can't buy it. It's only the.
Can you hear that? Lauren seems to think it's a way they can monopolize it. So the one around here, there's some shady dealings, I think. I don't have a way to prove it, but there's a forester who set a lot of these regulations up in a lot of these boroughs and townships. And he's a forester in Pennsylvania. You can't say licensed because there is no forester's license in Pennsylvania as far as I'm aware of. You just have somebody that has a forestry degree is labeled as forester. And he has basically gone through and he becomes the township consulting forester. And ironically, we have lost jobs to him where we've approached landowners, and then when the landowner, this stuff starts to go into the township for permits and stuff, the consulting forester grabs them up and says, oh, you need to use, you don't want to use them. They're going to screw you or whatever. And then he does his thing. Well, obviously he gets his cut, but if he's consulting for the township, how can he put the work out of bid? By rights, in my opinion, all he should be able to do is like, hey, the E&S plan looks good, or hey, they're not, they didn't cross over onto the neighbor's property, or they're not cutting unmarked trees or whatever. You know, he's just there to look and check on it. I think it's a big conflict of interest. Once again, knowing the right people to fight that and having the resources, i.e. money, things like that, it's tough. So, the other part is when the work starts to dry up, obviously the money starts to dry up, and a lot of people, you know, you have your payments. And I just bought this dozer. This time last year, I had cut over almost 3 times as much timber. I'd cut close to 300,000 feet already this time last year. I had a good spring last year. And so far this year, I think I'm about 100,000 in four months, 3 months. We'll say 3 months, and that's sad. I mean, that's embarrassing to me. So they
Nothing like a trying.
and okay, so Nate Stewart wants to know what an E, that's the letter E, N, S. That's an erosion and sedimentation. Not E, I put N, but it's E like an N symbol, and S. That's erosion and sedimentation plan. So that basically, it's, for lack of better words, it's a map of where your roads are going to be, where your landings are going to be, you know, the area of disturbed ground for your logging roads, and, you know, a list of the proper BMPs that'll be used and things like that, like your water bars, or if you have to make a haul road, are you going to put a culvert and a pipe, or a creek crossing, stream crossing. Here in Pennsylvania, if you cross a stream that drains more than 100 acres from the point where you cross upstream, if it's draining more than 100 acres, and you find that out by looking at the topo, you have to get what they call a GP8, which is a permit from the DEP to cross that stream. That's a whole other basket of worms, but I've never been on one where I've had to use a GP8. Luckily, I've been able to approach it from 2 different sides, or get around it, or have a landing on one side of the mountain and go to the other side of the mountain. But so that's what an ENS plan is. Where was I going? Okay, so the work dries up, and what happens is the money starts to dry up, and now and there's a lot more people out there with way, way, way worse problems, way worse payments and anything than me, and I understand that. I'm not sitting here saying like, oh, you know, I'm in the worst. No, there's a lot of guys that got a lot of equipment sitting it's just not a good thing. So these payments don't stop coming. You know, I still owe on my cutter I bought, and I obviously owe on a dozer a lot. And you know, people say, you've been in the business, one practice that people like to do is, I don't know if you can hear that, but the dog is snoring obnoxiously loud over there. I don't know if you guys know, but you can defer payments. Some of these banks, you know, times are tough, you can just tack that payment onto the back. You're just paying the interest. And then you're going to pay the interest again, from what I understand, once you pay that payment the last time. And that is a hole or a slope, slippery slope. You start digging that hole. For every scoop you take out of that hole, it's going to take 2 to fill it back in. And that's a route I don't want to go. You know, I talk about, I might have to. Senior Firewood and Homestead, Larry Hotto, how you doing, buddy? I don't want to have to go down that. So if I have to start selling things, I might have to start selling things. Because I don't want to pile debt up on top of debt, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. I don't want to destroy my credit. I don't want to. If you just can't pay for it, you can't pay for it. Obviously, the first thing to go would probably be the cutter. That would be the most obvious choice, because I don't use it as much. I'd hate to get rid of it because I really like it.
To the dozer, there's more.
Yeah, so the dozer, I have the opportunity to work you can do dirt work and stuff like that with it. So I lease the skidder. I don't own that. I lease it. I rent it. Let's put it that way. Rent it. I say that word lease. Might not be the proper term. Excuse me. So that makes it hard to work with some other people. Some of them are willing to loan equipment. Some aren't. It's just, people say, well, just pack up and go work for a contract company. And I'll get into that in a minute. There's pros and cons to that. So everyone's like, well, go do job, just skid with your dozer. And that's fine, but I'm not trying to run the rails off the dozer. I got to think about, I got to keep that thing going. I got to keep life out of it. I can't. That thing will last me forever if I can keep doing it the way I'm doing what I'm doing now with it. But if I start skidding long skids, I'm going to rock the undercarriage right out of it. And then the price of stuff is obviously going through the roof. I think it was between 12 and 14 grand before the latest happy idiot got into the office. And now everything's just going through the roof. And that's off. I mean, there's a lot of reasons for that, but it doesn't change the fact that things aren't getting any cheaper. So there was a guy that asked me what part of PA, Eric Arbuckle. I'm from Western PA. I don't live too far from Pittsburgh, believe it or not. About 20 miles or 15 miles.
Far enough, there's trees.
Yeah, there's work to be had here. Plenty, you know what I mean? It's just, I can't say, I'm not going to say I can't. I'm just unable to get it locked down, and the stuff I can get locked down, the big jobs that I need, I'm having trouble with. So, I lost my train of thought. So other people are like, well, just go contract cut for a mill. I mean, I contract cut now for a couple people, but so right now I get paid by the load. And my goal is to get that load as close to 80,000 GVW as I can, because that's what we're allowed to haul on the tractor trailers, the tractor and trailer trucks, semi trucks, legally, unless there's a frost law on a road or something. So a lot of the pulpwood and the scrag or blocking, the stuff that goes to make pallets and things like that, that's all paid by the ton. So obviously, I want to load that truck as close to 80,000. I want to get it dead on, because obviously if you go over, you risk the truck getting in trouble. Plus, part of my contract is I only got to load it to that point. So anything over that, technically, you're, I don't know how to, I'll say not screwing myself. Yeah, not screwing myself, but I'm not upset. I mean, I'd be lying if I told you, I load every truck right to 80,000 or a little under. I don't. I've loaded trucks. You send one and you swear it's going to be overweight and it's 75,000, and you send one and you swear it's light and it comes back at 87. I've done it. The worst I ever loaded was I think it broke 100,000. It was a load of dead white pine that I could have swore didn't weigh crap. Oh, no one got in trouble. It didn't go very far, and I had no idea it weighed that much, but unfortunately that's what we deal with. So, I get paid by the load, getting back to it. X amount of dollars per load. Doesn't matter if it's pulp, doesn't matter if it's veneer, doesn't matter if it's, grade. Grade, I typically want to hit right around 3,800 to 4,400 feet, depending on species, size of the logs. If you're cutting a bunch of little stuff, you're going to have a hard time meeting the footages before you get to your weight. Depends on time of year. And so there's all that. Doesn't matter. Put it on a truck, I get paid, see ya. Now, a lot of the mills, they do by the board foot, by the 1,000. Okay, we'll pay you, say, that seems like a popular price around here is $175 $1,000. That's just to cut, skid, and load on trucks. And that's typically, a skidder, dozer, and a log loader. I can't think, sorry. There's a lot going through my head right now, and I apologize for that. But I've seen the rates are starting to go up, obviously, because of fuel. Fuel is just ridiculous. That's usually on the trucking end. You see more of that surcharge, but it's still even in the cutting end. I mean, you're burning a lot of fuel a day when it costs $150 a day to fill your skidder up because it takes 30 gallons a day you're burning on a good day. For me, 30 gallons is typical because I can only run one machine at a time. So I'm burning between $150 $200 in fuel a day. And I've seen that price per thousand go all the way up to like 210. I heard somebody was getting recently. That's just the cut and skid. And that sounds great because you think, man, if I put 4,000 feet on a truck, you know, I'll make $800 a load. That's great. It's not worth buying my own timber, and it sounds good. And it usually is for about the first week or two. And all of a sudden you'll start noticing, and I'm not bashing anybody at the mills. I'm not bashing if anyone on here is a log scaler or anything. Anyone who's ever logged has ran into this. You'll notice your loads start coming back a little bit later. You know, at first you were getting about 4,000 feet on a truck. And then next thing you know, oh, you're only getting about 3,600 feet on a truck. And then next thing you know, well, you're only getting about 3,000 feet on a truck. And I don't know. It just seems, sometimes when you hear a price is too good to be true, it's because it's too good to be true. So I'm always avid. And I do it even with my loads. Every fifth, sixth load, every once in a while, if I have the opportunity to pile, or I think stuff's coming back light, I'll lay a load of logs out. I'll scale them out, and I usually put exactly 4,000 feet. I'll get as close to 4,000 as I can. I'll mark them logs, throw them on the truck, and I'll say, hey, give me your ticket number. And then when the ticket number comes back through the guy I cut for, I said, what was your footage on ticket number 2? And he'll tell me, and I'm like, nope, that's wrong. Something's wrong. You need to go have a talk with him. So it's tough. It's hard. And that's why I like to cut by the load. And ideally by the, getting paid by the ton, which you don't want to do for grade logs. That's a no-no. But for, getting like scrag and stuff. Because if you're going over certified scale, there's no funny business. Look, this is 22.41 tons, and that's what you get paid for. There's no argument there. So whereas if you send in a load of grade logs, say your argument's just over the footage. Say you think you had 4,000 and they think you had 32, and you're going to go, I think I had more. I'm lay them out. I want them back. And they're going to go, oh, well, they're already in the pile. So I've heard that one before.
Eric Arbuckle wants to know how to get in touch with you about logging out in Washington County. Give me your email.
Okay. We got to write this down.
You want me to send it to him?
Can you do that? No, I'll just write it. I can write it. So someone was trying to get in touch with me. I'll just write my email on here.
Yeah, it's Eric Arbuckle.
Eric Arbuckle.
His place in Washington County.
Where? I'm getting into the pizza notes. Sorry, I'm not prepared for this. Here we go.
Danny Cudworth said he doesn't miss it one bit.
He does. He just doesn't like dealing with the mills and stuff. But I bet there's times that he misses being in the woods and cutting trees. We've talked about it.
Jason Doucette wants to know if you buy private or public wood.
Okay. So Arbuckle, if you're watching, that's fox.trap@live.com. That's my email. If you guys want to get in touch with me ever, that's it. Give me some time every once in a while, because sometimes it throws my emails into like the spam, and I got to go dig through the spam folder to find them. So I apologize if that happens. Someone wants to know if we have private or public wood. We have both. The public is more towards central PA and northern PA. There's DCNR lands, a lot of game commission stuff. Donald Umpleby, they get into cutting some national forest land, and man, you talk about some nice timber.
They don't call a scale stick the cheap stick or nothing.
The cheat stick. Right. Can you guys hear this in the back?
Sorry, I'm over here crocheting.
Yeah, peanut gallery over there. I thought you were watching your video.
No, I'm more interested in you.
Oh, okay. Arnold, what's up, buddy? Old timer, he's funny. Hunt Outdoors, what's up, everybody? So, like I said, that's where it's tough. And I'm not saying every mill is bad, because there's not. There's ones we've worked for. The scale is fair. They want your wood. They work with you. And I've noticed if the scale on some mills, you'll have a very fair. This is just what I've noticed. If you go to a mill and it's like, wow, this mill's paying this much for cherry or red oak, and it's like they're paying 80 cents, or no, they're paying 10 to 20 cents more or 30 cents more for a, prime log than anybody else, you know what I mean? And you start sending stuff, I guarantee you, your footages might be good, but your grade is going to start to, you'll notice you won't have them higher grade logs. And then you'll find another one who, like, oh, the quality of your logs you send in, they like it, and it comes back, you're getting them number ones and primes and selects and things like that. But their prices are going to be a little bit low. So you kind of got to find your happy medium. My thing is just trying to find somebody I trust. There's a lot of times I've sent logs to, there's some mills that I've dealt with, they're primarily scrag mills, but they do mill face lumber too. And what I'll end up doing is I might have some grade logs in the pile, and what I'll do is I'll just take them and I'll just call up the scrag mill and I'll be like, hey, I've got this load of logs. It's got some nice stuff in it, not quite enough for a full load, but I'll just mix it all in and send it to you. You give me a little better price per ton, and tell them the species, and they will. So I'll just send it all to them, because it's not worth bickering and dickering over, the grade on a couple logs. I'd rather just send it to them, and it's like, hey, you had 24 tons on this truck. We're going to pay you $60 a ton or whatever it is, 50 or 40 if the market crashes, or 80 if it's really good or whatever. And I'm done. I'm happy with that. And I understand that the mill has to make money on their end too. They have. I'm more willing to work with a smaller mill than I am with some of the huge giant ones, because a lot of the little guys are struggling just as hard as the little loggers are sometimes. I say little loggers, the small time loggers, people like me. I mean, oh God, can you hear him? Can you hear him?
I don't know.
Now he's not doing it. But anyways, so there's logs that they buy, and you saw it opening and there's a big old rotten spot in it, and they lost out on it when they thought it graded higher, or they hit nails or iron or something. I've seen them hit porcelain insulators, or there's times, or maybe they got a new guy on the head saw and he's wasting lumber or something. You don't know. I understand. There has to be a factor. They have to make money too. So I'm not out to just bash everybody. I'm just looking for that happy medium. Honesty. If you're honest with me, I'll work with anyone. Just like, I want them. You can hear it.
I don't know if you can.
He's out cold, man.
My feet are hot.
So the only thing that's frustrating me is that there's a lot of the foresters in this area that are really beating the landowner up, I think, for what they do. They come along, they say, oh, we're going to do this and we're going to do that and blah, 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 blah. And they mark their timber and they put it out to bid. They high grade the person's property, obviously, because that drives that number up. They're getting percentage of what the total bid is. And once that timber's sold, you hardly ever see them again. Now, there are some that are not like that. Like I said, it only takes a few bad apples to spoil the whole batch, unfortunately. So I don't want anybody like, hey, that's not how I work. That's not what I'm trying to do here. I'm just saying it. That's the only issue I have with the forester scene. I can do what a forester does just as good. just as good as him, if not better in some situations. And I can do it for a hell of a lot cheaper. You know, someone had a patch of woods. He said, look, I want to put it out to bid, but I don't want to pay what a forester's going to pay me. Or what a forester's going to want. Any more around here, they're between 10 and 15% of a total bid. So if that total bid on your timber is 100 grand, we'll say you have a big block of timber, you know, 200 acres of nice stuff, and you get $100,000 bid on it. They're taking 10 to 15 right off the top of what you, the landowner, gets. I'd do that same thing for 3 to 4%, because
not to mention you're marking trees that can actually be cut.
Yeah.
Not friggin' stuff on the side of the high wall.
And another thing that is, sometimes you have trouble with a forester, and I ran into this, I don't know if he's still on here, Ohio Logger was on here, and I worked on a job with him late last summer. We cut a job, and the forester went down this road. There was two roads, a road and a parallel, start over. There was a road and a power line paralleling that road. A little strip of timber in between it. There was virtually no way to drop that timber. And I say a strip, I mean 10 yards wide. The trees were taller than the strip was wide. He marked big stuff all down through there because it was big footage. It had never been cut before. And he marked big stuff all along the road, which you could not get off the road without getting on the road with a machine to shove it back off. And some of it was just too big to either pull, push, and it was just unrealistic to look at this tree and go, you can do that. But he marked that, and he, you know, obviously he got paid because the bid went up, you know, and it's the mill that bought it. That's kind of on them too, because I'm thinking, you know, you're going to go buy something, you better get out there and walk it. There's a lot of them that just do blind bid sales. You know, if they get a good reputation with somebody, and you know, Joe Blow's putting these bids out, and someone's worked with him and know that he's decent, they're just going to say, I don't even need to look at it. You know, I might look at where it's at, but you know, for logistic reasons. But then they're just going to throw a bid at it. But they bid this, so they have all this timber that they can't get down. So I know this person who was cutting it, that I was helping, went to the person who bought it and said, look, you know, there's a lot of these trees I just can't get down. And they came down and looked at it and like, hey, that's no problem. So I don't know if they negotiated it with the forester or not. But when I mark property, I look at every tree like, hey, that's hanging over a property line. That's just going to be too much of a hazard. We're not going to mark that one. Or this one's hanging over a road. Or this is too close to a gas line. Or that area is too wet. We really shouldn't go down in there. Or, you know, maybe there's a slip on a hill. We just want to stay away from that area all completely. You know what I mean? I'm looking at that. Every tree I mark, I look as if I was going to cut it. And I think, you know, how can I get this down? Can this tree be brought down? Is it easy? He's snoring so loud. I hope you guys can hear it because it's funny as hell. But, I don't know how loud, sounds so loud can come out of such a little thing. That was so long. So, but, that's one thing, you know, I take pride in doing when I'm doing it. As 9 times out of 10 anymore, the properties I'm marking, I'm not even getting a cut. So hopefully whoever's ending up with them, they're happy with it. But, Horn, am I missing any good comments?
Kevin Craig said, Pete, I love how you plunge cut using the top corner of your bark. What type of chain is good for that? I usually use the bottom corner for plunging.
Okay. Kevin wants to know what kind of chain. I know a lot of guys use the LPX, the Oregon 72 LPX, because it has that little bumper link. I don't like it. I like just a square ground chain. So that was 72 LGX, which was replaced by the 72 EXL. There's all different brands and types. Still has some good ones. Husky has a good one. They have the X cut and all that crap. It's all in how aggressive you set your chain. So when you're cutting, like plunge cutting hard maple and hickory and things like that, you don't want to be as aggressive because it's going to chatter and kick on you. If you're plunging like poplar and pines, you know, white pines, things like that, soft maple, you can get away with a way more aggressive chain, you know. But it also comes with operator feel and what you like. So So, all right. I don't.
Foresters get 8% in the north.
Yeah, I think it's a regional thing too. Fire Captain Tom told me about his forester. He recently had one, and like I said, if you're going to get a forester, do your research. Best thing to do is go back to some of the landowners. And
They're very happy with theirs.
yeah, he really liked his. He liked what they did. And there are some that are great people. There's some that are not great people. Just like there's some great loggers and there's some not so great loggers. So you got to do your research. That's one thing I like about my YouTube page is anybody has any questions, it's like, hey man, go on here, check this out. Maybe check these couple videos out or just watch what I do. And you know, if you're not happy with how I do something and you know, if you're not happy with how I do something, talk to me about it. You know, say, is there a different technique we can do? Can we cut this different or things like that? And I'm gonna say, everyone I've worked on, I've had very few complaints. We had one fussy landowner that wanted me to leave water bars and stuff out so they could ride their trails with horses and buggies and stuff, and they couldn't grasp that I'm not allowed to do that. I could not leave. This area had highly erodible soils. Moderately erodible soils. I forget what the designation was on it. I have to look at it, and it's in the E&S plan. It was to dig through it. I don't want to do that right now, but this was a job just recently. But other than that I run into that more than anything. I'll mark properties a lot of times after I'm done marking it. I'll tell, and not all jobs are marked sales, but I'll tell people, hey, you know, I marked this. Here's the price that we're offering. Go walk your woods. Go look at those trees. Every tree with a blue slash or an orange or a red or whatever paint I use, they're going to go away. And I want you to let that sink in. You know, and you're going to be left with the top of that tree too that has to, you know, break down and decompose, or you can cut up the firewood. Some people love that for firewood.
Like a lot of the people love the fact that they have firewood.
Yeah, a lot of people love that they're going to have tops left for firewood, you know. And I said, I want you to go look and see that and grasp it and, you know, make sure it's in your head, because I don't want there to be buyer's remorse. You know, I want somebody to be like, oh, you know, it was good, then they cut it, now it just looks, you know, blah, blah, blah. I don't want that. I want people to be happy. Another big thing, when I approach a landowner, I tell them, okay, you've got some nice timber in here. What do you want to do with your property? You know, this is how I would set it up. I want to set it up so you can cut every 15 years or every 20 years or every, you know, some, if you get on big pieces, you can make it so you cut every 5 to 8 years, where you just do it in blocks and patches.
Or if you're a hunter and you want to.
Yeah, some hunters, you know, there's some people that approach us. First thing I do is, what are you looking for? Some people, it's like, hey, I'm selling the property to a gas company. Whack it, make it bald. You know, or we're selling out to a housing plan or something. You know, just lawnmower the place. We want as much out of it as we can get it, because they're going to level it. And that's fine, because in the end, it is the landowner's choice. I can advise landowners on what's the best to do or what not to do, but it is the person who owns that land that makes the choice on what happens to it in the end, and nobody else's. In my opinion, that's how it shouldn't be. Anybody else. It shouldn't be a local municipality. It shouldn't be your local government. It shouldn't be the state. It shouldn't be anybody. The neighbors. I've had neighbors come over and say, well, I want you to leave, you know, these trees along the line. I said, well, they're your trees. And they'll say, well, no. And I said, well, unfortunately, you know, I can understand how you feel, but they're not yours. It'd be like saying, It'd be like eating dinner with Lauren and me telling her, once she got halfway through her piece of cheesecake, be like, that's it. I don't want you eating any more, because it's just not going to look right.
Pete wouldn't make any more videos.
Yeah. So that's one thing. And I see it around here where there's timber cutters, that will cut a little more than they're supposed to. They'll take a little more than they're supposed to things, but that's not, you don't see it as often anymore. And I think the technology age has changed that because everybody has a smartphone, everybody takes pictures. It's so easy to see who owns what now. That was getting timber stolen was a big thing. I feel from like the booms of the 80s and 90s when the timber was up. But I wasn't working in the woods. I was just a little fart then, so I can't really say. But now that is less and less. Unfortunately, a lot what you see happens. Everyone's like, "Oh, those loggers destroyed that." Well, first thing, go talk to that landowner if they're willing to talk to you. If you're that concerned about it, and be like, "Hey, did you want this much cut?" And if that's what they wanted, you got to just say, "Hey, that's great," and leave them alone. Don't bash the logger, the cutter, the mill, or whoever it was until you know the whole story. So I've been guilty of it. And back in my earlier days, when I thought the only way to cut timber was select cut, it's not. It's what's best for the woods. So if that's what you want for the woods, you know. Ken Seymour, what's up, buddy? The one thing I would like to say, I'm just reading some comments real quick. One thing I would like to say, Gail Sweeney's from Central Arizona. My grandparents used to live around Phoenix. So I put that video up the other day about the frustrating part of logging and all that, and I gotta say, you guys left some of the most heartfelt comments, and it was nice to read them. It was what I needed to hear. It's so nice. And I wasn't sure if I was going to do this, but there's a lot of really awesome comments in his section too. So thank you for that. It means a lot. It really, really does. And I haven't done a live in a long time. Honestly, I haven't felt like doing a live in a long time. It's just been tough. You know what I mean? This has been a tough year this year. Robert Kennedy, what's up? Suburb of Phoenix. Oh, what the hell is the name of the town they lived in?
Hey, Fire Captain Tom, those newspaper cutouts that you've been sending my boyfriend.
Yeah, you're in trouble, Tom. She wants to know why you're sending ones for, well, the one that I messaged you, and the other one's for hearing aids, because I'm not deaf. I wear hearing protection. Little Southern Brothers, what's up, guys? I hope everything's good on your end. Oh, it'll come to me. I'll think of a little town. But anyways, I used to love going to my grandparents in Arizona because they used to have these little lizards that ran around. I'd shoot with a squirt gun. They had a pool, and they had a grapefruit tree and an orange tree in their backyard. And I say yard, it was stone because everything out there is like that gravel. And they had the little block walls around the yards and stuff. It was cool. Fire Captain, been trying to focus on the fishing, but it was 35 today. Snow, sleet, rain, on and off, every 20 minutes, quite literally.
William Owen wants to know if we're going to do any turkey hunting.
That's like not even a question. Oh, so here, I walked, just to give you a reference of how much timber I've been doing lately. It has slowed within the past 2 weeks, but just Thursday, I got a call back on a piece. I have no reply from the landowner yet. I talked to them. Well, it's not a landowner, it's the developer. They're going to flatten the place. They're going to build houses. And I said, let me go in first. I want to buy the timber before you get all these plans approved. Let us cut the timber, because once you cut it up into parcels, there's nothing we can do for you. And he said, absolutely. And I haven't heard back from him yet. I hope I do. But massive timber, great job. It's in a crappy township, the same one I've been dealing with. But I ran all over that property. So that day I started at 9 in the morning, 9:30. I got the call at 9. I left the house at 9:30 with the backpack, the paint, the stick, the book. Here's the book right here. See? See all the numbers? And when I mark trees on a marked sale, obviously you have to go to each tree individually. This particular borough municipality requires that you put a slash on two sides and a dot on, or, just so you have two identifying marks on each side. One for up high for visual for the cutter, and one down low to prove that that one was marked when it got cut. But what time did I finish? 6:30. Yeah, 6:23. I was in my truck on my way home. It was 86 acres. I marked 705 trees, and the footage was somewhere in the neighborhood of almost 200,000 feet. It's some impressive stuff. So I hope we get it. It will probably, if we do, it might get tied up in the township BS. So, Stan Nelson, what's up, buddy? That was to give you just an idea of how much running I do. And and I'm getting better at this. So, this is, I got a couple more. I think there's one up there. There's one somewhere else in the office.
No, that's all the ones.
There's one behind you guys you can't see, but this is the fruits of my labor. It's about all I have to show for walking the timber. I've been finding antlers and deadheads. Mm-hmm. Some of the deadheads I left there because it's stinky. But I found this one here. This little was an 8-point, or had 4 on one side. I found him. Firecut and Tom will like these. And then a little bit later, I found this one. This cute little guy. And then not far from that one, I found this one. This was a pretty decent 8-point to give you reference. That was one of the nicer ones I've found. It's funny, I never find the great big antlers, but he was about a 16-inch 8-point. Yeah, it's goofy looking, but it's not bad. That was a good one. And then walking down the trail, a logging road, I looked down and I found a spike. And how in the hell did I find a spike? I don't know. And then this one I found on a different job a week or two before. I was walking up through a field and come up onto a gas line, and it was just following a deer trail because it was all multifloral rows. And then it started to open up, and I looked down. I was like, oh, hey, check that out. And then I got a bigger one on the window over there I found on one of the jobs we actually have. It's just not ready yet. So that's the fruits of the labor lately. It's too early for mushrooms yet.
Firecat and Tom, I had lousy luck too, but I finally found one this year.
Yep. Lauren found her first one.
Found my first deadhead too.
She found her first deadhead. That was up at camp. That's a good deadhead. But she found this one. He must have been a fighter. It's funny you say it. We just saw a buck behind the house that had a half a rack the other day. So. Andy Cobb, see you, buddy. Take care. And Perry, you're funny you said that because I found it right in the middle of a skid road. This whole property was weird. The whole property's roaded like it was going to get cut. No water bars or anything. The whole property's roaded, and they never cut anything. I don't know what happened there. Outside Mashai, what's up, buddy? Asheville, North Carolina. That's not far from where Burnsville's where MSL lives. Asheville's where he lived. Oh God, what's his? Mike McCoy used to live right by Asheville. That's where Asheville's right down the road from Chuck's daughter. Odie Horse is still here. So, that's what I wanted to get into tonight. It's a slippery slope, man. It's good until it isn't, and it's tough. And I can handle the physical end of it. You can beat the shit out of me every day and I'll get up and go back and do it. The mental stuff's what kills me. It eats me. It's ugly because it keeps you up at night. It it affects everything you do. It's I don't know how to put it. It's just like it's something that's always in your head. I mean, I'm driving down the road to go bowling this evening, and I'm looking at hillsides like that's nice timber. Wonder who owns it. That's nice timber. Who wonder who owns it? And it's like a disease. It's just stuck with you. You can't stop. And so many people don't. A lot of people don't understand it, I should say. I mean, and it's not just timber. I mean, you could be a concrete contractor. You're looking, you're like, oh, that place needs what are they building there? Or what are they doing over here? Or a house framer or someone that does asphalt or roadways or, whatever kind of construction or whatever business you're in. I mean, what if you're into like billboards or painting or it could be anything, marketing. You're going to see those things and it never shuts off. When you're in business for yourself, it's the one hidden thing that no one really tells you. And I didn't truly understand it. I thought I did, and I clearly didn't. And I still learn stuff every day about it. So that's one thing you need to be ready for if you're going to go after something like this for yourself. It's freaking scary, man. It really is. I had a pretty good year last year, and the year before we made it through the Rona pretty good even. And I'm watching that pile I built. I built my pile, whatever you want to call it, equipment and savings and all that stuff. It's just melting like snow in the springtime. And it's just pisses me off.
Well, hey, that snow goes to water.
Yeah, it comes
and
back.
Flowers come up.
Yeah. It's just,
Positivity.
it's a hard pill to swallow. So, and I'm young. So, Tom, I'll tell you the best luck I've had with the finding the sheds. I'm getting better, obviously. I'm covering a lot of ground, but the best thing I can tell you is look where the deer are. If you got a field, they're always out in the field, or there's a constant food source, or where they bed, go to those areas. And don't bother looking just about to better your odds, stay on a deer trail. Find a good deer trail, just walk it. The hell with the rest of it. Because you got to think after Christmas, they're really not being pushed around. And, once the antlers start to fall in March, they're really not being pushed by people as much. So they're just kind of doing their everyday thing. Like, hey, I know they always lay over here. Or, hey, I know they always eat over there. Go look in them areas.
And over like walls and stuff, you got stone walls when they jump.
Oh yeah, like if they're jumping over fences or walls, that impact. Look around those places they cross that. Little steep hills if they come running off a steep hill. Yeah, Stan Nelson says the same thing. Things they jump over. So, speaking of jobs that we lost, it was a funny one for a ride today. And we lost a job. Didn't know it till today. It was up by where my brother lived. So it was going to be like a clearing job. My buddy was doing all the clearing. He says, hey, do you want to come cut all the trees out? I said, absolutely. You give me the logs. And it wasn't nothing great. It was mostly pallet wood. I said, you give me the logs. And I said, I'll cut them, skid them down to an area where we can grind the tops up. I'll help you do all that. You just give me the logs and haul the dozer there. That's all I want. And he said, absolutely. So we got this, got the job. And then my brother said, hey, I seen your buddy started on that up there. And I said, no, because he didn't call me. And I called my buddy and he's like, no, I didn't get going. So we drove by there today and there's just another contractor in there just destroying the place. I mean, he's land clearing it. They don't care about trees. They're just mowing it over, you know. And I was just like, son of a bitch, you know. Phone call would have been nice. Like, hey, this guy says he'll do it cheaper. Can you meet that price? But no, it's just the typical disconnect. People don't have that courtesy anymore, I guess. It's a different time. I was raised by somebody, my dad, the generation my father raised me, he admired the generation before him. So it's like I was brought up, me and my brother were brought up, you know, firm handshake, look a guy in the eye, you give somebody your word, you always stick to it, you know, never give up on things, you know, always see something through. Nowadays, people are just like, you know, I told you, just like you give somebody a number on Timber and then they'll be like, oh, okay, I'm going to talk to you next week. And then they just, as the younger generation calls it, ghost you. They just quit answering anything. And that makes me angry. That frustrates me. Because you could at least have the respect to say, hey, this other guy's going to pay more than you, or this other guy's going to do the job cheaper than you, or whatever it is. And I'm going to go with him. Right on, dude. At least I'm not out there hanging, wondering, is there something I did wrong on my end?
Everybody's too scared.
Yeah, everybody doesn't like the
They don't like
confrontation, maybe. I don't know. Okay, I think David Haley's making funnies.
I saw something about a Sasquatch.
Where'd he go? The Sasquatch always pick up the sheds before I can find them. Ah, okay. So who's... Michael Loomis, all the dead ash in PA. In my area, if you find dead ash, you run it over the machine. Because it is no good for nothing anymore. It's not even firewood. It's like punky. Not too much of it standing here. You go north, you can still find some living. You go to the east, you can still find some living. Mostly where it's mixed in. But if you find it southern PA, southwest PA, western and southwestern, it's just gone. It's not worth it, man. They don't do shit with it anymore. Crap with it, sorry.
Already dropped the bomb.
Yeah. Dan says if he could turn back time, he'd have a mill in Kilns. You had a mill, didn't you? Yeah, he had that wood miser. Let's see. Kevin Craig, I'm 5'17" and I know you're a big boy too. I'm especially impressed with those nice low stumps you cut. I take pride in my work, Kevin. And plus I hate hitting with a skidder and I like my kidneys, so. Brian, what's up? Smith. Brian's a good dude. I wish I lived closer to Brian. He's one of them people I'd like to be around. Like just be the sponge, you know, just absorb the knowledge that man has seen and learned in his life. We talked a couple times about some things. He used to have a Franklin KBL 28. Man, there was a bad loader. I had one too. The turntable bearing was going out of it. Well, I was renting it, but I loved that thing. It was fast. It wasn't too hard to move around. It had a great grapple. It was a good machine. He had one too, but I think he since traded up to the Barco. The one thing I will not, Daniel, the one thing I will not give landowners unless they pay for it is footages. Everybody, well, what's my footages? You want me to give you a breakdown of all the footages so you can walk into any mill and go, hey, I have this on my property, buy it. I will not do that. The footages to me are proprietary because 3 different guys can go scale that tree in the woods, same tree, and 3 different guys are going to come up with 3 different footages. So to me, my footages is to me and proprietary, and I don't give it unless you pay for it. So. Okay. Yeah, that's how it happens, Hunt. That's how it happens, unfortunately. So we're up to like 93 people. I don't know how much more I can talk about. What else am I frustrated with?
31.
What?
I thought this was 31.
Mine says 92.
Oh, well, I'm just not caught.
For some reason it says I started streaming less than a minute ago.
Oh, well.
We've been going for
YouTube's not listening. No, YouTube.
60 short. Tea is great.
What else are you frustrated with? The price of wood stuff in stores still ain't going down.
Yeah. Oh, I got something for you. Okay, I got something good. William Moxie says, I'm watching from Southern Virginia. All we have here is pine pulpwood. They take it down to 2 inches on the small end. I've seen that. We do the same thing with our pine. You know, we try to utilize as much of the tree as you can. It's kind of hard with hardwood because once it gets that small, it gets too crooked and you have too much bark content. So you have to watch that. Hardwoods usually stop at 4 inches on the small end. Something that gets me too when you approach landowners, I'll tell you right now, 90% of them think they have all veneer. You have landowners with unrealistic expectations. And you often wonder where they get it from, but I see where it comes from. So if you go, there's a popular woodworking store here. I'm not going to say the name, but they have a lot of blue in their logo. And by woodworking, I mean like fine woodworking. Like they got the nice table saws, the routers, all the fine chisels, and all those things for lathes, pen making, all that fine furniture making. And they sell lumber in the back. They have a nice variety too. It's wild. They've got different grades of stuff. They have like the junk walnut. They have the nice walnut. They have 4/4 walnut. They have cherry. They have sycamore. They have hickory, maple, all those things. And they have a bunch of crap that's imported from overseas. And I walked in there the other day. Lauren was looking for a basket for all Fred's toys at a neighboring store. And I said, I'm going to go in here because I used to work at a place called Woodcraft. And I don't even know if they're in business anymore when I was in high school. Quick background, I used to be a hell of a furniture maker. I made tons of furniture. A bunch of the stuff in my house I made, a bunch of stuff with my parents, my brothers. It was a hobby. I loved it. Don't do it as much anymore, but neither here nor there. So I walked in because I wanted to look at some of these things. I've always wanted a good Lee Nelson plane. I never bought one of a Lee Nelson hand plane. Just us wondered if you could still have them, and they do. But the lumber in the back, and you're looking at this, and it's nothing fancy. A lot of it's number one common, or or a little bit better. You have FAS lumber, things like that, but most of it's pretty decent stuff. And they plane it. Some's planed with one side cleaned up. But on just the random stuff, I looked at cherry, which right now cherry's the dog around us. Of the finer hardwoods, cherry is the lowest paying right now, from what I'm told. I don't have the values. I just know when we look at cherry jobs and they're leaning hard towards cherry, it's like, oh crap. He's like, we can't offer as much for that. It was like $7 a board foot for kiln dried cherry that was planed on two sides. Just 6-inch wide, 6 foot long board. $7 a board foot.
That's nothing. You go to Michael's and you pay like $42 for like a piece of.
Well, that's a little different. But so now I get it. That wood has been handled a lot of time, but $7. There was walnut, the garbage walnut, the stuff that's 6 foot, and it's anywhere from 2 to 6-inch widths, and it's just junk. Lots of sapwood, lots of defect, crooked, beat up, not plain. Was $14 a board foot. I just like. No wonder you go to like some landowners and you offer them money and they just like, how dare you? It's just an unrealistic expectation. Or they see OSB going for $48 a sheet. I can assure you, we are not seeing that on our end. And they just don't, or 2x4s, that 2x4 is $8. I should be getting there's 100 2x4s in that pine tree. And we don't do 2x4s in PA, buddy. Unless you're getting it from a small private mill. For some reason, the spruce and red pine in PA is not, from what I was told, doesn't have the certification stamp or it's not accepted. They don't mill it for lumber here. And I don't get why. You go over to, right down in West Virginia, they do it. Virginia, there's a ton of it. I don't know about Ohio, but New York, there's a bunch of lumber that's milled, framing lumber.
Not good enough for Home Depot and Lowe's.
Too good for Home Depot and Lowe's.
Oh, well, yeah.
So, but it's Eli Rupp. What's up, buddy? Roop. I always say Rupp, and I mean Roop. You're so nice.
I know.
Thank you. She made me tea. I'm getting all hot and bothered, so she gives me tea and I calm down.
That's not how that works.
I'm getting like worked up. Not that. Don't take that down the wrong road.
No, that's not where I was taking it.
She threw a bear at me.
Fred's under here, like, what was that?
Fred's sleeping under the blanket she's knitting. So that's one frustration of mine. It's just, you got a lot of crap stacked against you and it gets really frustrating really quick. And if I don't have the work to keep my mind occupied and my body, I guess I have what they call anxiety. I get worked up real easy. One thing that really frustrates me is people tell you, oh, you just got to calm down. It's like, dude, if I could share what's going on, I don't want to give it to you because that'd be cruel.
Fire Captain Tom wants to know if I'm crocheting the dome cover.
No, but she has, and it's right here. You saying you're getting too much shiny stuff? How's that, Tom? She made this for me. Is that better?
I'm actually proud of this one, so I'm going to show it to him.
He can say that because he could burn ants with his reflection. And I can say that too, Tom, because I'm headed there.
I'm making him a blanket instead. This one is actually his.
No whiskey. I don't like the alcohol. When I'm in not a good mood, I don't like alcohol. I don't, or like a whiskey or something. Like some people had a rough day, they come home and have a whiskey. I don't. I gotta be happy for me to enjoy any kind of spirit. So, but all right. I hope I didn't miss any of your comments. And if I did, when this posts, just because it's going to post like a regular video. So if someone watches it, comment in there and I can answer in there. I'm sorry if I missed it. Lauren was pretty good at catching any of the questions. Once again, if there were some people trying to get a hold of me, send me emails and stuff, I don't know what to do with the paper. So if you're trying to email me, that's it. fox.trap@live.com. Sometimes it goes into the spam. I'm sorry. Give me some time. You guys are wonderful. Thank you for all the lovely comments. Thank you for all the upbeat comments, the heartfelt ones. I appreciate it. Every one of you, it means so much. We made it to 12,000 subscribers recently. I never thought I'd be there. So it's humbling and means a lot, really does. I wish I had a better way to express it, but I'm a guy and guys have trouble expressing those kind of things. All righty, guys. Y'all take care. Have a good night. And as always, don't you dare let that meat loaf.